offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Strap up your headgear and try not to hit the mat too hard. This is Takedown Tuesday with Nebraska Wrestling National Champion Ridge Lovett.
Oh my goodness, it hits up. Short time, right down to the wire. And the drought is over. Nebraska with a national champion for the first time since 2011. What started in Post Falls, Idaho, is punctuated in Philadelphia. Ridge Lovett in his 6th year, a title winner.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Powered by Stevens & Smith Construction and the Teammates Mentoring Program. With your look inside Husker Wrestling, here is your host, Ridge Lovett.
All right, welcome in to Ticket Weeknights. This is Takedown Tuesday. I am not the host. Ridge Lovett is the host. He's joining us via stream. And if you guys want to join in, you can feel free to do so. 402-464-5685. That is the Sartor Heyman text line. Also, a great way to put a face to the voice. Use Facebook, YouTube, X, Allo, Channel 961. With that being said, throw it over to the host, Ridge Lovett. How's it going on a pretty warm and beautiful Tuesday?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. You know, I'm still back home. Ran a practice for the guys in my high school last night, getting a few of those guys ready to go out to Fargo. Got that coming up next week. But, you know, the last week's been pretty chill. Finally not running camps anymore, just one practice here and there. Probably going to run another one tomorrow night, maybe Thursday, get those guys keyed up before they head out. We fly out on the 12th, and then it's off to Fargo. So, yeah.
Awesome. How much work are you doing just training with other guys, and especially that younger generation this summer? Because it sounds like you've had a pretty, nonstop busy summer.
Oh, yeah. I hit 9 states. I was in 9 different states running camps. So it's always good to go out, meet a bunch of new people, get to make some money on the side, doing that kind of stuff. But I haven't really been training with college guys a whole lot, but a whole lot with the high school guys, getting those guys ready for these big national tournaments coming up.
And is that something that, you plan to do way outside, when you get past the road and wrestling? Like, do you always kind of want to be around it, even if it isn't that coaching aspect?
Yeah, for sure. I don't totally know if I want to do like commentary stuff, but for sure camps, clinics, coaching, I for sure want to be a part of the sport 100%.
Absolutely. And then what you really have coming up here? You're back home right now. I'd imagine just getting some rest.
Yeah, it's been nice being home, The only thing I really do active is, apart from the wrestling stuff, I got train tracks running along the side of my house right next to a golf course. So I'll walk up and down the train tracks and pick up golf balls every day. That's all I've really been doing. It's been nice getting to finally just relax and chill.
Yeah, I'm not much of a traveler to begin with, so 9 states makes my jaw hit the floor. I wouldn't want to do that all in one summer, but credit to you for doing so. So once you're getting your rest, much needed rest, what is kind of the next steps here for Husker Wrestling? We've got to talk to guys like AJ Ferrari, obviously in the past, Antrell Taylor. Husker Wrestling is building up to something. Now, I don't know what that something is other than better than what it even was last year. At least that's kind of the way I'm projecting it. What's the feeling? I know it's early in the summer, but when you're looking at this team coming together and you're not all together yet, but it feels like Husker Wrestling is taking another step.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the goal is always to build better. Every single year we just want to get just a little bit better, 1% better every year. And I feel like we've done a good job of that. Picking up AJ was real big. Bringing in Lamer at 49, that'll be big, right? Getting those guys to get in the room and start scrapping. And, it's pyramid effect. We just keep building up together. And, Coach Manning's done a good job bringing those guys that we need in. And, we're still chasing a couple more, and that could really swing some stuff for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was already nervous. You swing a couple more big ones, and they're really going to be sweating up there. I'll ask you this because you're obviously more glued to it than I am. You're playing the thing. When it comes to the power dynamics in college wrestling, like, what do you give this kind of shift in teams? Like, even teams like Penn State, they're still the big dogs. You guys finished runner-up, but again, you guys taking a step forward. And it does feel like Nebraska is all of a sudden getting more and more competitive and maybe putting the fear maybe into people like Penn State. Where do you suppose that dynamic and the power shift is coming from, where Nebraska seems to really be gaining traction?
I think a big part of it is definitely the team culture, right? Like, I'm not saying that we didn't have a good culture, but stuff has definitely changed, right? In the room, it's like people want to be at practice, which, I mean, like, yeah, we all want to wrestle, but going to practice, it gets a little monotonous sometimes, going in every single day, managing the weight, traveling, doing the school, doing all that stuff. But now it's like there's a renewed focus on development in the room, owning our development, not always relying on the coaches to run practice, being like, hey, like, take it upon yourself. Like, you're in charge of getting better, right? That's something that Coach Snyder talks about a lot, is being a professional and taking it upon yourself to control your own development. Right. And that's something that we did a really good job of this year, is brainstorming in the room, whether we're sparring that day or whether we're drilling, whatever it is, being intentional with our time and really focusing in, locking in, and also just building like a connection with our teammates. Like, there's not really any beefs on the team. Like, most of the time it's like a little disagreement, but it's like all friends, they're going to argue and stuff. But, it was a really good year. There was no major issues. Everyone was locked in on one plan, one goal. We all knew what we wanted to do, what we needed to do. And I think that that's a big part of what led to the success last season.
So what's that like day one for the freshmen walking into that culture? Because it was, I believe last week you had on a couple of freshmen. I was talking to those guys during the breaks, and you can kind of just hear it already. And the way those guys talk about how competitive, I think live on air, Nick Cade was already, challenging you in a lighthearted way, but you could see that competitive energy. What's that like for day one? Like, how does Mark Manning establish that culture that, like, yeah, we have a great program and facilities, but it's going to be all on you to decide how far you get?
Yeah, a little bit of it is pushing them into the fire, right? Like, I remember like my first week on camp, like, I guess not on campus, because during the summer it's a little more lax. We're running the camps. People are traveling, doing their own camps and stuff. But then come August, it's going to be go time, right? So they got a few more weeks to kind of get used to campus, kind of start developing a schedule, figure out their way around to get a little comfortable with it. But then once season started, it's kind of like you get pushed into the fire, right? Like, my first practice, we did groups of 3 that day, and it was me, Colton McChrystal, who comes in and helps, and he is also the head coach at Wesleyan, I believe, and it was Chad Red, and he was whooping me, right? So it's like I get thrown into this group, and I'm just out here just getting turned up on, and it's like that hadn't happened to me in a few years. It'd been years since I just walked into a room and just didn't score a point the whole practice. Right. So it's going to be a little bit of that. And then it's almost like a wake up call, like moving from middle school to high school, moving from high school to college. There's levels that you have to jump up to, but the skill gap between middle school and high school is different than between high school and college. Right. These guys, I'm coming in. I just turned 19, but I was still a baby. I didn't have any facial hair. Like, I was still a little kid. Right. And I'm wrestling CJ. CJ was 22, 23. Right. He'd been doing the college thing for a while. He had already All-American a couple times. McChrystal had a good career. Like, he was done when I came in. So it's like these guys were older, stronger. They'd been in the room. They understand the college wrestling stuff, the speed at which the wrestling happens. So it's, you kind of got to just kind of be ready to go in and get tore up a little bit.
How big is that jump from like high school to college? And then you personally, when was the moment where, not that you ever doubted it, but it was clicking, like, okay, now things are starting to come together for me? Because it almost feels like as hard as getting on the field as like a freshman on the line, offensive line, playing Big Ten football. Like, yeah, if you're 19, you're going to have the potential, But to your point, especially with the COVID years, now that's all over, which I think we can all be happy about. COVID guys, I mean, some of those guys were 25, 26. You're a 19-year-old going, that's a grown man at that point. So how challenging is that? Like when you're a freshman in the world of wrestling, at the pinnacle of wrestling in college with the Big Ten, how long does it really take to become that guy where you can go out there and compete?
I think it happens at different rates for different people. So for me, I didn't redshirt my freshman year. We pulled my red shirt like our second duel of the year, and I was cutting a bunch of weight. So the weight cut was a little tough, but once I started figuring that out, the click moment for me actually happened at a match where I got my butt kicked. Right. So we went to Wisconsin and I was wrestling Seth Gross, and he was ranked number 1.
Mm-hmm.
He was number 1 in the country, number 1 in the Big Ten. And, he was older. He'd been doing it for a while. He had already won a national title. And I went out there and just got hammered. But the match was closer than what the score was. I was in positions to score, but when I went out there, I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, like this kid won a national title last year. Yeah. This is like my 3rd Big Ten match. Like, oh boy, here we go. Right. So I didn't wrestle my best, and I was holding back because I was scared to get smashed. But then once after the match was over, I got majored. I lost like 10-2 or something. Mm-hmm. And I was walking off the mat and I was like, he's good, but like, he wasn't that good. He's not good enough to score 10 points on me good. But there was a lot of positions that we would get in that I just wouldn't attack. And it was like, after that match had happened, I had RBY the next week, who was ranked number 2 in the country. And then I had DeSanto, who was ranked number 3 the week after that. So I had a rough little run there. Yeah. But it was like, I can hang with these guys. I can do this. I can be competitive in here. I can wrestle with these guys. I can score points. I can really do this. And then the RBY match, that one was closer. I got majored in that one too, but I was on a takedown to send the match to overtime with like 7-8 seconds left and got smacked in a cradle, put to my back for 6. So it was like, okay, I'm right there. And then went to Carver, wrestled DeSanto, lost a tight one there, had a 3rd period ride out where I had a bar half locked up, and the ref stopped it because I was ripping his arm off a little bit. But, it was like, it's just, even in the butt kickings, it's like, you got to be able to take something out of it. And for me, it was, I got my butt kicked, but I had lots of opportunities to score points that I just didn't take advantage of because I was nervous. So I'd say the big click moment would be once they realize that they are good enough for this level, and just be willing to go out there and just attack and wrestle the way that they know how to wrestle.
Yeah, it's a great point. You see it at times where, and obviously I don't want names or comments, where that confidence just never clicks for guys, and then they, either have to transfer, drop, and I'm not talking about Nebraska in particular. It lists me any school, where a lot of times just confidence issues with guys, not so much the skill.
Yeah, it happens at every school. There's people in the lineups, there's people in our lineup where it's like I can see what they do in the room, and it's not clicking out on the mat, which I said that same thing in an interview after Big Tens or nationals or something. And it was like, the goal is always to wrestle the way you do in practice. Right. Because when me and Antrell wrestle in practice, I'm not going to lose to him. I refuse. And he's not going to lose to me. So we battle, we get after it. It's crazy matches. Right. So it's like being able to take that fearlessness of wrestling in the room where there's nobody watching. Right. It's just me and my teammates. Oh, they're the only ones who know how that match is going to go. And being able to take that same mentality and that effort and put it out on the competition mat. Right. When the fans are there, the lights are on, you're wrestling on TV. It's a little more, you're going to be a little more nervous, but being able to push that aside and really just go out, and that's the goal every single time, is just wrestle the way you do in practice and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, makes sense. It's almost like every sport tries to practice those same things. And speaking of our guy, Antrell Taylor, a little bit of side tangent here. He wants to know, how's the golf game going this summer? I didn't realize you were a big golfer, Ridge Lovett.
I'm a golfer a little bit. That's not actually Trelly. That's my boy. That's Trelly season on Twitter though. He's if you like wrestling on Twitter and if you like wrestling and you're on Twitter, he's a good one to follow. Him and Dylan Gunther following the Nebraska wrestling. He's been breaking down all the lineups, like who each guy is going to individually wrestle. I just saw what he posted about yesterday with Tofi's schedule. It's crazy, right? Wrestling the Big Ten, these schedules are crazy. I have our schedule written down right here. And in our dual matches this year, we're going to we wrestle 7 of the top 10 teams. 7 of the top 10, and we're one of the top 10. So I guess
which ones are you missing? Do you know?
Oh shoot, I don't know exactly which ones we're missing.
Okay, just give me the ones that we do know for sure. I mean, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Oklahoma State, UNI, where are we at? Iowa, Ohio State, Minnesota, Illinois, Penn State, and then we have 4 more that we're gonna wrestle that were ranked in the top 25. Mizzou's in the top 25. There's gonna be some tough teams at Maryland when we go to the Navy Classic. Army's okay. And then we go to the national duels, where the only teams that were invited, so the top 12 from NCAAs last year were invited. And then they did they're going to pick 4 more. They did a lottery system, and I don't remember exactly which teams it was going to be, but they picked 4 more. I think Mizzou got in, Lehigh got in, Arizona State, and Little Rock, right? So it's like all those teams were in the top 20 at nationals, and we're all going to be in a 16-man bracket at the national duels.
Yeah, that's insane. You don't see that in other sports. Where it's like we're just consistently going to play the toughest of the tough, which makes it way more entertaining. Is that the only way to get ready, in your opinion? Is like you have to absolutely go face the tough competition, not just a few times during the regular season, but you got to do it consistently?
I think it is important to get breaks and wrestle some of those teams that aren't as high level, so you can go out there and, because in high school when you're wrestling some of these teams, you're wrestling guys that aren't as good, right? So you kind of get tune-up matches. You get to work on the stuff that you've been developing in practice and get to put it on out there against those guys. But then when the highest level guys, you're not gonna be able to go out there and kind of try new things. Like obviously you're gonna bring in some of the new stuff you've been working on, but it's not gonna be like, hey, so we've been working a lot of feet to back stuff. So this kid, we're wrestling Penn State. Okay, I'm gonna try to throw Van Ness on his back every single time, right? You're more strategic with your attacks, picking it out more. But with some of the tough, like Penn State doesn't wrestle super tough schedule. Obviously, the Big Ten schedule is going to be a grind. They're going to be wrestling hammers,
right?
But outside of that, they're non-conference duels. They kind of tend to pick lower ranked or unranked teams, right? But I don't know. It's definitely good to go in there and see those high level guys and get a feel. So then when you're at the national tournament, it's like you're not wrestling some killer that you have. Well, I've only wrestled 3 tough guys all year, right? But being in the Big Ten, you don't really have an option.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play the schedule you get, and there's gonna be some absolute dogs on there. As you already mentioned, we only got about a few minutes left here, so I'll ask you this. We can dive into some other things on the segment number 2 and 3. But this summer, have you felt like the Husker fan base has grown, in particular with wrestling? Like these camps are great. Obviously, in the era of NIL, it's great for the wrestlers, get some exposure, especially when you had 2 individual champions with you and Antrell Taylor, big names people are going to recognize. Has it felt different in terms of fan support and people more locked into the program?
Definitely. Just seeing the stuff on social media, that's the easiest way to see it, because they've been showing out on social media, in the comment sections, defending us, fighting for us, promoting us when it's something good, and just being around town in Lincoln. Like in the past years, like I would get recognized a little bit, but then afterwards, it's like now it's like everywhere we go, I'm running into somebody or a couple people that are like, "Hey, like you're the wrestler kid." Like, "Yes, sir, come on." So definitely, it's been good though, and we're gonna need some more help. We'll get into that on the next segment, but definitely gonna need some more help. I see what these guys are doing, what the social media guys do with the football and basketball, baseball, talking about those recruits, and we're gonna need some flooding of inboxes here soon.
Well, on the bright side, you get the young interns. I can find a 13-year-old who can do a sick video edit to get some hype out these days. Like it's insane how good media has gotten. And right when NIL's available as well, you can build that hype, build that support for the players. So absolutely. And you mentioned about it, Trelly Season, a great guy to go follow if you want to get wrestling info. I'm gonna have to look myself, see if I follow him, because I was looking at some of those tweets and he's got good stuff on there. But I'll ask you this, Rich Lovett. We got through with the break. I'll let you do it, but I'll let you tease what we're going to talk about next year.
Yeah, Bo Bassett, and then a former Husker is coming back to get back in the room and help us out. But Bo Bassett, that's the one we're going to need. For
All
sure.
right. Absolutely. We'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere. Takedown Tuesdays. Rich Lovett, Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. It doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden Bay crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
With your look inside Husker Wrestling, here is your host, Ridge Lovett, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in segment number 2, Takedown Tuesdays, with your host, as always, Ridge Lovett. I'm Harrison Arns, just running the ones and twos back at the Ticket Studio while Ridge is getting some well-deserved rest back home. You guys can join in and text in 402-464-5685, as well as the streams that you guys both have been doing. And Ridge, we'll talk about some Husker targets, but before we do so, I want to get this one from the text line. Unknown texter 6349 wants to know what's going to be like to go into the Oklahoma State duel. When do tickets go on sale? So we got someone who's very interested in checking that one out already.
Yeah, the Oklahoma State duel is going to be huge. So that one is Saturday, December 21st, right? It'll be our last duel before we take off for Christmas break. I don't know when the tickets are going to go on sale, but that's going to be a big one, right? They took 3rd or 4th last year. I can't remember. Them and Iowa were 3rd and 4th.
Mm-hmm.
But David Taylor, Olympic gold medalist, multiple-time world champ, Hodge Trophy winner, multiple-time NCAA champ from Penn State. He made the switch over to Oklahoma State, and they've been landing recruits left and right. So that's definitely a big one because they're kind of up and coming, but at the same time, they hold the record for most NCAA championships as a team. They're at like 36 or 38 or something like that. So a lot of history in the program, new coaching staff, a lot of excitement there. So we're going to wrestle them at home. And hopefully we wrestle them at national duels as well. We'll get to see them a couple times. But we're going to have them in Lincoln December 21st. And that weekend, that'll be a Saturday. And then Friday night, we will duel North Carolina. I'm excited for that one. AJ Ferrari was just about to go. That whole thing, Bill Belichick's girlfriend might have had something to do with it, getting him not enrolled, whatever. Seen different things about that. But,
crazy, by the way. Everyone's wondering what you're referring to. Bill Belichick's Hudson is – and – yeah, I don't know how much there is to it, but obviously North Carolina just sound like they had just a bunch of things in their media, and they just were hesitant because they're panicking about a lot of things going on within that university. So, and that was actually a quote from Mark Manning in that interview. So it's interesting. That's why I'm not going to just shake my head at it because that's the head guy right there saying.
Yeah, I've heard it from multiple different sources. If she was the reason, to me, that's kind of crazy. But we're happy to have him. We'll take him 100%. Right? Yeah, former national champ. Yeah, come on over, buddy, for sure. We'll do that.
Speaking of great recruits, though, and targets, I know that's where we want to go with segment number 2 here. So, Ridge Lovett, I'll let you lay it for the people who are the targets right now that could really continue to push this program.
Yeah, so Bo Bassett, number 1 recruit in the class of 26. His half-brother, stepbrother, I don't know totally what's going on there, but Melvin Miller, number 1 recruit in the class of 27. It's seeming like they're going to be a package deal, right? And what we're trying to compete against, we're chasing down Penn State. And the only college rival or college dynasty that compares to them is UCLA in the John Wooden era, right? They have won 12 of the last 15 national titles, with one of them being canceled. And then they lost one the free year, and they lost one in 2016, I think. They've done 3 4-peats in a row. 4-peat, lose, 4-peat, cancel, lose, 4-peat. Right? So this is what we're competing against. And really, we're going to need some of that top number 1 recruit, blue chip talent to really get up over that hump. Right? And
I want to ask you, Penn State, sorry to interrupt you there, but do you feel like with the ruling in the House settlement and the money being a little bit more tied down with that budget, you get $20.5 million. Maybe some schools are going to prioritize football more and other programs like wrestling or things fall off or whatever that other sport may be. Do you think that has anything to do with some of the more feels like player movement where some of these guys aren't necessarily just going ahead and to plug into the best university every time?
I think so a little bit. I'm most, I don't know if I would say concerned or excited, but looking at like the smaller programs, right? They have guys like, especially in wrestling, where it's an individual sport, where they have one guy losing the blood round, one guy was a podium finisher last year, finishes the blood round this year. They're high-ranked guys at a small program, and then they jump ship, right? Like the one that stands out to me was looking at Little Rock. Arkansas Little Rock they finished in the top 20, right? They started their program like 5 or 6 years ago, and now they finished in the top 20, and two of their top 3 scorers jump ship to Iowa. Right, both of them chasing bags, whatever else it may be. Maybe they're looking for partners, but a big part of it was definitely the money. So, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. I don't totally know how all that stuff's gonna work out, or how it's gonna affect the smaller programs that don't have the budgets that the big schools have.
Yeah, well, even that's what I was wondering. Even with the big schools, now there is the reality of the bagman always exists, right? Now the bagman will just go back to the shadows instead of being out front in front of everyone. So maybe that still happens, but I was wondering, I was like, is that like some of these bigger universities, or is it even like we have the money, but there is a cap in place now, and we'd rather prioritize it into some other areas, or we just aren't able to flood this market the same way we were. So to your point, like, I don't know what the answer is either, but I was just curious if you had any insight since you're in it and you're a little bit closer to seeing the player movement.
Yeah, that's to me is the biggest kind of like eye opener with Bassett leaving Iowa, because the word on the street was that he was going to make 7 figures there. Well, now with where everything's going, he's past the deadline. He still hasn't picked a school. Like, that giant bag is going to be gone. No school is going to give him 25% of their NIL money, right? Or I don't even know how it's all going to work out.
I'm sure if we had the answer, there's a lot of coaches in every sport that would love to ask us about what's this actually going to look like when it's all said and done with. So I won't pick your brain too much about it. It would just catch me as curiosity, seeing from like sport to sport, how it interacts with every program. We always just think about football, but then, they're looking at the Pac-12 schools, the former Pac-12 schools. You look at Oregon, USC, UCLA, Washington. I'm not sure how much in love they were, going to wrestling in the Big Ten, knowing how loaded that division is. What's it been like playing, going up against some of those other new Big Ten schools?
None of them not one of them has a program. Oregon cut their program probably 15 years ago. I'm pretty sure they took that money, built a new football locker room. USC, UCLA. I think UCLA used to have a program. I know the University of Washington did.
Yeah, Washington surprises me the most that they don't have one. That seemed for sure. Okay.
Yeah, the Pacific Northwest, there's not a whole lot, because Boise State used to have a program and they were tough and they were competitive. And they cut it for baseball, and then they said they didn't want a baseball stadium in the middle of Boise. So they told them no to that. So it was like, oh, well, okay. Well, we wanted to get rid of wrestling anyway. It's okay. But I think Washington cut theirs before I was born. I can't really remember Oregon ever having a team. But in the Pacific Northwest, it's Oregon State. That's it. Washington, no. Montana, no. Idaho, nope. California, they have a couple smaller schools like Cal State Bakersfield, Baptist, Cal Poly, Stanford, and that's it.
Well, that amazes me. I thought for sure those bigger universities would have wrestling programs, but I guess not. All right. How do you see the sport of wrestling growing? Like, do you think that's something that more and more schools are going to put wrestling programs in then? Or is this just kind of where we're at? What do you think it's going to look like for the next 10 years?
Where I see the most growth is going to be in women's wrestling, right? Because when I remember when I was in 4th grade, I stayed home from school crying my eyes out because wrestling was going to get cut from the Olympics, right? That's when Jordan Burroughs came through and put USA Wrestling on his back and the whole sport of wrestling and carried it back into prominence. And
for a long while too, he kept doing it.
He kept doing it.
Next one coming up,
just being a beacon of light for the sport. But I think women's wrestling might be the saving grace for the sport, because it, apart from pickleball, women's wrestling is the fastest growing sport in America, right?
Yeah.
Oklahoma State just started a program last year or 2 years ago, I believe. Iowa's had a program for the past couple years, right? So you're seeing some of these major schools starting to pick it up a little bit. I don't know where we're at with that, but I think women's wrestling is going to be kind of the saving grace of wrestling as a whole.
I think you're 100% right. You do hear more and more there is a buzz for women's wrestling, and I'm not sure how local it is. That feels like here in the Midwest, we're pushing for it, which is a great way to do it. Have you had any camps where you're seeing more and more girls be interested, even if you weren't necessarily coaching girls?
Yeah, so my club team, high school team, I think we have a girls program now at my high school, and from what I've been hearing, they're pretty good. They're going to be having success here in the next couple of years. They're getting better. They're getting more girls out. But I always had a couple girls on my team growing up. Before girls wrestling was cool, we had a couple girls on the team, and both of them Fargo champs, Pan Am champs, Pan Am OW, right? And they did really well with Sierra Foster and Brelane Huber, were two girls that I grew up wrestling with, and they were both real tough. Found a bunch of success, but I really think that's going to be the way, is really pushing effort into the girls side of it. And I coached a high school girls dual team we were in Omaha. We wrestled like Team Iowa, South Dakota, and a few other states brought teams. And I really enjoyed coaching the girls. They listen way better. Right? Like when they're out there on the mat and you tell them to do something, they do it immediately. With the guys, most of the time it's like, okay, yeah, I hear you, coach. That was a good suggestion. When the girls, if you tell them to do something, even if it's completely the wrong thing, they will do it. Right. So it's like, I appreciate that as a coach. Like, yes, they're really listening, and they pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah, you hear that a lot from guys that coach guys that all go to coach women. It's like, man, they listen a lot better.
They do listen a lot better. And I was really impressed with how quick they were picking it up, because day one, it was a 2-day tournament. Day one, we kind of got our butts kicked a little bit. And then afterwards, I was like, hey, come here. We're going to stay here for an hour, and we're going to work on some stuff. Okay. Because if I'm going to be here, we're going to win. Right. I'm not getting my butt kicked tomorrow. So we hung out for an hour. We were working on stuff, ran a little practice, just really just technique. But we started picking stuff up, and then day two went really well. I think we ended up taking second. I think we went 1-3 day one. And then day two, we went 3-1. I was like, okay, yeah, we figured some stuff out. We're getting better. So I enjoyed coaching the girls. It was a good time, and being able to like follow them after that. Some of them have been winning Nebraska state titles, and just having success, even if it's not like national champ, they're hitting the podium. They're getting close. Right. So Nebraska is definitely growing. And at the Nebraska camps last week, or 2 weeks ago now, I guess, I think we had 250, 300 girls there.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, it was good. It was real good. We had like 1,500 boys, but we had 300 girls as well. 250, 300 right in there. It was good.
Yeah,
Great
especially for the area. It's not like we're in the middle of New York or California. It's like, it's, not remote, but it's like you're still per capita. That's a solid number to get that many women wrestlers. And, I'll say this much, especially if Nebraska, wants to ever start up a women's wrestling, or really any Midwest women's wrestling program, Nebraska just likes winners. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. We love the bowling team. They win. We love the rifling team because they're winners. The football team, the wrestlers, the volleyball team. We get upset with some of the other programs that have been struggling as of late, but if you win, we got your back. And that's one of the beautiful things about Nebraska, is we really, really ride with the people who deserve the credit. So if that ever gets popular in the Midwest, I wouldn't doubt seeing like a ton of fan support out there as well. But you mentioned something, we got the break. The last question I got for you till then, you mentioned about coaching and how it's kind of hard to hear on the mat, or you have guys that, yeah, I heard you coach, and, they didn't do it for whatever reason. When you get to some of those matches, in particular for like you and Antrell Taylor, it's a national championship match. It's loud in there. How hard is it to hear your coach, what he's yelling at you, or any other coaches that are giving you commands while you're actually out there on a mat in a high pressure, loud arena?
It's definitely tough. I don't have any headgear sitting around, but there's 4 little holes in the headgear. It's just 4 little holes. My ear's already cooked. The whole thing's shut, both sides. So it's like, I don't hear good anyway. Then I'm putting on earmuffs, right? And then it's loud in there. So, but you learn to hear your coach's voice, right? So it's like, even when I like go and I'm just watching high school tournaments back home or at a practice or something, when I hear one of my old coaches, like my coach Abel De La Rosa, my club coach, he'll give it, hey, and clap. I hear it every single time. We could be in a packed arena and he'll yell at me from halfway, hey, and a clap. And I'm like, oh yeah, where's Abel at? Where's he at? Right. So you kind of like learn to pick out their voices and hear it. Right. And that Abel hasn't coached me in years. It's been probably like 8 years at this point, but I can still pick out his voice like nothing. So Manning, Snyder, Tervel, Greasy, like I hear all those guys. I can pick it out pretty good.
I guess that makes sense. You get used to the voice. If my mom says my name, even if it's a whisper, like I know that's my mom standing behind me, just on that tone of voice. So I get what you're saying there, and I lied to you. I got a follow-up question just because now I'm more curious about it. So when it comes to that, do you have a moment where you did get a command or a request, whatever you want to call it, from the coach from the side that as soon as you pulled it off and you did what they said, you just instantly got the result you wanted and possibly even won the match?
Yeah, for sure. I can't pick out any specific like examples of it, but definitely there's definitely been times where I hear something, I'm like, yeah, boom, do it. And it's like, okay, yeah, you were right. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't looking at that. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, that being said, we got to throw it to break one more time. So if you guys want to get any last second questions that you want us to answer on that third and final segment, again, 402-464-5685. We got Ridge Lovett streaming in, the host of the show as always. Like I said, we'll throw it to break. We'll talk to you guys on the other side.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing a family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Bros Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell. Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
With your look inside Husker Wrestling, here is your host, Ridge Lovett, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in a final segment of Takedown Tuesdays with your host, as always, Ridge Lovett, who is streaming in as he's back home. Like I said, you guys can join in. Starter Heyman text line. If you've got any last-second comments as well of these streams. We got one more from Trelly season.
Yeah.
No, Ridge Lovett. I pulled up here for you. Who in the room talks the most trash?
Oh, it really depends on the day. If Brock and Coach Snyder are wrestling, it's for sure Brock. Those two get into it and they're chirping at each other all practice long. But if we're warming up with Frisbee, it could be any number of people. Oh yeah, we play Ultimate Frisbee up in the wrestling room to warm up sometimes, and oh yeah, the trash talk gets insane. But
yeah, that's the one that I wouldn't think the Ultimate Frisbee would bring the trash talking out of. But I guess if we're used to like a really violent sport all the time, the tamer ones could bring that out too. Yeah. What other things do you guys like to do when you're just hanging out as a team outside of just wrestling?
We play quite a bit of poker. We golf a lot. Like what Charlie Season asked earlier, my golf game's terrible. I'm trash, but it's okay. We're getting better. And I found a bunch of balls on the side of the road, so I can lose a bunch. We're gonna get better. But we poker, lots of cornhole, little bit of spike ball every now and then.
See, spike ball's the one I never got into too much. It felt like it was super popular one summer and then it just disappeared. I haven't actually, maybe I got to go around the campus more, but I haven't actually seen people playing a bunch of spike ball as of late.
I haven't seen it as much, but like my freshman, sophomore year, and especially when I was in high school, it's all we did was play spike ball. It's a good time, but definitely a lot of frisbee games. We play a little bit, like Brock and P-Rob and Christian Lance play a ton of ultimate frisbee golf. They go every day, so I go with them every once in a while. But lots of poker, lots of video games, and quite a bit of golf.
Oh, speaking of which, do you guys play college football 26 at all? I know that one.
My PlayStation is in Lincoln, so I'm just sitting here just looking at everybody else play it on YouTube. I'm ready though. I'm ready. We gonna win a couple more ships with Nebraska this year. It's gonna be good.
Do you ever play like the UFC games?
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of my favorites. Could there ever be like an NCAA wrestling, or do you think that's too hard?
I think it would be too hard. There's just too much stuff that can happen. I don't know how you would do the controls and stuff, but I mean,
even $100.
Mm-hmm. If there's a developer out there who's like that, for sure, I'd buy it. Make me a 99 overall. Come on.
Hey, I mean, the champions got to get the highest ratings, right? So, I mean, at least at the bare minimum of 95. Was with that being said, we'll get one more from text. We got some time here left. Unknown texter, what's going on with the high schoolers competing for Olympic spots or world team spots?
Yeah, I feel that those are guys who, because like the technique difference between high school and college isn't much different, right? Like when you look at college, little guys all the way up to the highest level, we're pretty much doing the same moves. It's just people who were able to make that mindset switch and have the ability to wrestle at that high of a level. And yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe the level of wrestling is just increasing and it's just getting lower and lower, and people are starting to dial in on one sport only earlier, so they're able to kind of specialize a little more and they're just advancing quicker.
Which is, still to me an incredible feat, because again, I talked about it earlier. Like talking about Olympic spots and world team spots, I mean, that is kids going up against adults. Like that's an unreal level of competition when you aren't a full grown man yet and you got to go up against, imagine if you're a high schooler 18 and you somehow make your way through, but now you got to face Jordan Burrow.
Exactly. Right. So you don't see it as much at like the higher weights, but like with Duke coming in at 70 kilos, like that's really impressive. He's a real tough kid. I don't know what the ceiling is for those guys, if they're going to start to plateau a little bit because they're getting so good so early. Development starts to get a little tougher, but we're just going to have to wait and see on that. But I did have one more announcement. Robert Kokesh, right? Number 2 win leader at Nebraska, 144-15 career record, 3-time All-American, 2-time Big Ten champ, is back at UNL. He's going to be the head coach of the Nebraska Wrestling Training Center, helping out the senior level guys, the freestyle guys. So that's going to be a huge addition to get Bobby back. He was there with me from my freshman year through 2023. And then he went back home to take over his dad's farm, but him and the family are coming back down to Lincoln, and real excited for Bobby to come back.
Oh yeah. And he's a good man, and he didn't lose any grit if he took over a farm.
I think he gained a little weight, but that's it. That's it. Bobby's the man, and I'm stoked to have him back. He's one of those coaches that he's real easy to be friends with, right? He's real easy to get along with, and sometimes you need that. You have the guys up at the top that are kind of running the ship, but every once in a while, like you need that coach who is like we're kind of like friends too, right? Like yes, he's my coach, but we're friends as well, right? And Bobby does a really good job of that. Him and Greasy does a good job as well. Tervel, all our whole coaching staff does a good job of it, right? But like Coach Snyder, Coach Manning, like those guys, they're running the ship. They're in charge of everything. But then you get the assistants who are more like weight class, weight group, kind of, they work out with certain guys every day. That is easier to kind of like be friends with those guys. And they're younger. They're closer to our age. They were in college a few years ago. So it's going to be real good to get Bobby back.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's in my mind, just getting your, the way you're speaking about him and the way others have spoken about him with that hire, seems like a slam dunk hire. I'm always a big believer. It's like, especially, you can go as far down as like to the training or the strength coach, but especially assistant coaches. The head coach has a lot of stuff to do, and those assistant coaches, they got to be the eyes and ears for that head coach. So if those guys aren't the right fit, you're just going to run into problems that even the greatest head coaches can't solve. So I think that's a great hire by them. Ridge Lovett, before we wrap up here, I'll let you give any final thoughts you got.
Yeah, same thing I've been saying every week. I'm starting a kids club in August, Don't totally have the schedule tied down yet, but we'll be with the best wrestler, opening up a Lincoln location. I will be the head coach, getting some of the college guys to come in there, probably see some AJ Ferrari, Antrell Taylor, Brock Hardy action in there. So, it's going to be good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a pretty elite group.
And I can't wait to get back to Lincoln. Only one more week. Got the biggest wrestling tournament in the world next week. Probably going to be 6,000-7,000 athletes there. But once we get through those 5 days of competition, back to Lincoln and back to scrapping, getting in the room with my boys.
Absolutely. And Lincoln, I'm sure will bring you back with open arms, hoping for another great Husker wrestling season. You and the rest of the Husker wrestlers. Ridge Lovett, appreciate it as always on a Tuesday afternoon. That's going to wrap it up for us. Up next, though, Derek Pearson, a one-on-one with Luke Lindenmeyer.